And the field is starting on wet tires, and we welcome those of you in our international audience around the world to the Mario Andretti Grand Prix of Road America. It is round 12 of the Champ Car World Series. The rain has been a huge factor all morning long as we've seen the cars sit back, change from dries over to wet tires to start the race. And once again, we have the decision-making capability here that's fallen into the hands of the kart officials who have declared this to be a wet race. Everyone will start with wet tires. Bruno Junqueira, he is your pole sitter alongside Sebastian Bourdais. It's an all Newman Haas front row. Inside row number 2, we see Patrick Carpentier, who qualified better than his teammate Paul Tracy. Oriol Servia with a hot lap of 139.7 miles an hour on the outside of the second row.
Back on row 3 of the grid is Mario Dominguez, a career best starting position for the Mexican, coming off a very controversial accident 1 week ago in Vancouver, where he took out a car running in second place when he himself was 2 laps down. He is on probation, comes back with a great qualifying effort. The championship leader, Paul Tracy, alongside him on row 3 of the grid. Back on row 4, we see that the 2 American Spirit Team Johansson cars, Jimmy Vasser, the only former Champ Car World Series champion in the field, alongside the rookie, a very good effort for Ryan Hunter-Reay.
In row number 5, we have Adrian Fernandez still looking for speed. He was very quick, third quick in the morning warm-up, however, so maybe it'll come into play. Michel Jourdain Jr. could have and should have been on the front row if he hadn't spun out on his last lap in the last qualifying session. Row 6 is Thiago Montero and Roberto Moreno, who qualified up front a week ago at Vancouver, but was taken out with an accident.
There we are on row 7, Alex Tagliani. He's another very frustrated guy this weekend. He's been quick in practice for the Rocket Sports team. He was taken out of the race 1 week ago in Vancouver, again by a lapped car when he was running in 4th place. Alongside him, the Englishman, rookie driver Darren Manning. He's been quick all weekend here, despite the fact he hasn't been here. He's one of the few drivers hasn't even tested here prior to this weekend. A very good qualifying effort for the Englishman. Back on row 8 of the grid, Mario Haberfeld, MyJet Conquest Racing, a Reynard chassis, a Brazilian, alongside him Max Papis. Well, we'd see in the past that Max Papis loves these wet conditions. He won superbly in the rain a couple of years ago.
In row number 9, we have Rodolfo Levine still looking for a good result, a little bit slower than he wanted to be this weekend. Gualter Salas has had mechanical problems. He is outside of row number 9, and his teammate will be in row 10. That is Jeff Boss by himself after an accident, a shunt into the tire wall earlier this morning. Now a huge developing story with Paul Tracy. We go down to Guy Hobbs on pit row.
Yes, we're waiting for Paul Tracy, who is having communications problems. Although they can hear him on certain parts of the track when he radios in, so they've just told him stay out, and we'll look at it again on the next pace lap and maybe bring him in. But the problem is, if they bring him in, he has to start at the back.
Absolutely. He will have to fight his way through this field. That could be a huge, monumental task for him in these conditions.
Particularly, I mean, just look at the spray from these cars, and they're only going here at about a quarter speed. They're probably doing 70 or 80 miles an hour at the very most there. When it gets to full speed, they'll be doing about 150 or more on that part of the racetrack. Visibility next to nothing. It's really, really tricky when you're following another car. And we hear that it's been raining very, very hard the last few minutes. A few of the drivers, Adrian Fernandez included, is questioning the officials as to whether it's too dangerous to start this race right now. It's certainly very, very wet.
Well, we now have word that we will have a yellow flag start to this race. Now, walk through the procedure for me under these circumstances, Jeremy.
Well, generally speaking, on the third time past the flag stand, the pace car will have pulled off and they would get the green flag. But because it is so wet right now, and I think the rain seems to be letting up a little bit, at least at this part of the racetrack, what they're going to do is start the race under yellow flag conditions. So the pace car will pull off. The field will be under the control of the pole sitter, Bruno Junqueira, and they will probably do a lap or two at reduced speed, no overtaking, just stroll around behind Bruno Junqueira at much reduced speed, just try and blow a little bit of water off these racetracks. These cars, they produce a massive amount of downforce, and what that downforce also has the effect of doing is sucking the water off the road. You can see that trail of water behind the cars as they come around the carousel turn, and that'll help to blow the water out. Just the airflow tends to chuck the water off to the side of the racetrack. racetrack. You can see here, as the cars come through, they really are dissipating a lot of that water. So 3 or 4 laps, or 2 or 3 laps, whatever it takes to get that the most of the standing water out of the way, and then we should be able to get this race underway. And the drivers have been very sensible here. They're running all the way to different parts of the racetrack to try and get that water off the racing surface.
And once again, we welcome those of you in our international audience who have just joined us. I'm Stephen Cox, along with Jeremy Shaw here in the booth. Down on pit row, we have Guy Hobbs. And all of you with the viewing parties around the United States, the Champ Car officials in the Indianapolis area who have taken your Sunday afternoon to head out to the Ale Emporium to watch this race, and all of you all over the country, we thank you for joining us. And if you have just joined us, let us remind you of the severe weather problems that have really just now come to play. I mean, Jeremy, we have dodged rain with Champ Cars all weekend long until, what, an hour ago?
Well, that's right. I mean, we've had heavy overnight storms just about every night we've been here, but the actual every time the Champ Cars have been on the track has been dry. So this is the first time they've been out on the racing surface with anything but a completely dry racetrack. So it's a very different animal. From look at the crowd here. There's a good crowd here on hand at Road America. This is one of the classic venues in North America. A great racetrack, a lot of history here, and it is one of the best places to get a good close-up view of these Champ Cars.
And as the yellow flag continues to wave, we remind our international audience that in North America, this is being seen on high-definition television. Now, it will be received in a slightly different format in your area overseas, but don't worry, you will not miss a single lap of the action here at Road America today.
But here are the cars. That is J.D. Wilbur, the chief starter for CART. He is still brandishing the yellow flag. The pace car is still out on the road, but the race, I think, officially is underway.
Yes, it is. That yellow flag puts us on lap 1 as we speak.
Correct, and you see all the rain lights on the cars. Everybody has to have a rain light on the car. I mean, the visibility, as we just said, is almost nil in these cars. There's a very bright light there that they can switch on right on the gearbox of the car. So at least if you're following in someone's spray, you can see that it doesn't act like a brake light, so you can't see any change when a guy gets on the brakes like in a road car. The intensity of that light will rise. They don't have that in the Champ Cars, but at least you can see roughly where the guy is in front of you.
A soggy Guy Hobbs is standing down on pit row. Guy, what's happening down there?
You're right, I am soggy, and it looks like I'm going to get a lot soggier because there's more weather coming. Just to let you know, Jeremy mentioned that Adrian Fernandez was complaining about the conditions over the radio. Darren Manning, who is used to racing in lots of rain, of course, from the north of England, he is also calling in and saying the track conditions are just not good enough, and that we shouldn't be running. Also, just to update you, Paul Tracy on his radio, the only place it doesn't work is in the back straightaway, so they have told him just stay out, we'll just live with it that way.
And that's really not unusual. It's quite a long way away over there, plus it's in the trees down in a valley there, so radio communication on this racetrack is always a headache for these teams. So Paul Tracy there, he'll have to live with it. There's his teammate Patrick Carpentier. He will start on the second row of the grid. A great qualifying performance by Patrick. And is he dropping back a little bit through the field there?
I believe that was Paul, I believe.
Oh, you're right.
That was Paul, and he should start back in 6th position if that radio situation doesn't change it. Now, Jeremy, here's something very interesting. We are going to go at least one more lap, and now we have Rodolfo Levine off the track. That is a shame. That is really tough.
Looks like he's spun off there, but there doesn't seem to be any damage to the car. With a bit of luck, he just lost it. I think he's down in turn 5, probably on the exit there. That's the hill that leads up there under the bridge to turn 6. I think he just looped it around, and even at reduced speed, it's very, very tricky in these conditions. The tyres are stone cold when they go out of the pits. It's a fairly hard compound Bridgestone Potenza tyre, so very little grip, and particularly in these conditions. Even in the yellow flag situation, it's easy to lose control.
Introduce us to this race course. It is one of the legendary road courses in North America.
Yeah, and even around the world, it is renowned as one of the classic challenges for a driver, also for a race engineer as well. The start-finish line there leads one of the fastest parts of the course. It leads uphill to the start-finish line, the highest point of the racetrack, about almost 150 feet of elevation change from top to bottom on this track. 3 different places on this racetrack where the cars reach their top speed, which is close to 190 miles an hour. So it really is a challenge.
Bruno Junqueira, the pole sitter, with a huge opportunity in the points chase this weekend.
And yes, he came in with a 20-point advantage, but Bruno Junqueira has been quickest on both days of qualifying. Therefore, he gains 1 point from each of those 2 days. That gap down to 18 points. Michel Jourdain Jr., he's had a great season for Team Rahal. 36 points behind right now. He's looking to eat into that deficit this afternoon.
You're still looking at the car of Rodolfo Levine as they try to get him back underway. Are there any chances that that he's not going to make it?
Yes, there are. That rear wing looks to be tweaked on that car. You can see that's rocking around a lot more than it should do. So clearly he has made some contact. He's actually out of the car as well, isn't he? You can see the seatbelts there. So he is out of the car. I think that's the end of his day. We saw a couple of people off the track last week before the start, and we've got another one here this afternoon. Rodolfo Levine had a great run 1 week ago in Vancouver, had his career best finish so far, an 8th place finish for the young Mexican, but he will not take part in today's event.
Well, that's too bad for Rodolfo Levine, who was really struggling for speed all weekend in this, I believe, his first visit ever to Road America. Now, while we remain under yellow, they're going to do something very interesting here. Even though the race has officially started, they're going to bring out 2 jet dryers and let them attack this racetrack to the best of their ability and see if they can blow some more of this wetness off, because not only do we have still some precipitation coming down in some areas of the racetrack, but even more of a concern is the water already on the racetrack blowing up these huge water, just mist, if you will, that vapor that you have to drive through that's very difficult for the drivers.
Yeah, it's very, very tricky conditions. It was a very heavy rainstorm. We had one about a bit over an hour before the start of the race. We hear they are going to throw the red flag. Great. I was just going to question the wisdom of carrying in these conditions. I think that's a great call by race control. They're going to throw out the red flag here. JD Wilbur ready with that for when the cars come across the line. Look at over his left, over the top of his head there. You can see there is some lightness in the clouds. I think with a bit of luck, it's really just a passing shower, albeit that very, very heavy one. The heavy rain came in a little bit over an hour before the start of the race, and the track was certainly in good condition until about, well, really just before they fired up the engines, and another heavy, heavy downpour. So a good call here. They're going to bring the cars into the pits, and we're going to get this started all over again and get going, and hopefully, you know, give everybody an opportunity to have a full and proper race here at Road America.
Well, we will watch them pull down onto pit road. They will remain in single file as they pull into the pits. They will stop just short of the start-finish line where the red flag is now waving, and that will take us to another pause in the action. And once again, a good call by Champ Car officials because of the dangerous situation that could result. When you've got cars that have a hard time making it around the racetrack, even when you're under a yellow flag condition, it's very difficult to justify going green. And so that is exactly the situation that Champ Car officials have reacted to. In the meantime, we are still working with Rodolfo Levine's race car, trying to get his car off as quickly as possible. It's a red flag situation, and now the 2 jet dryers will go to work on the racetrack.
They will, and they will. There's a lot of horsepower there, just blowing the surface water off the racetrack. They are amazingly effective, these vehicles, and you can see there the Ford trucks with this jet engine mounted on the back. Fortunately for the driver, it's pointed out to the side rather than the back, otherwise he'd really have some fun.
Well, that would be a big problem. And we've got Bruno Junqueira, of course, on the pole. Sebastian Bourdais will be in 2nd place. Patrick Carpentier in 3rd, followed by Oriol Servia and Mario Dominguez as we come to a red flag. So once again, Road America becomes the center of activity, with cars driving back out onto the race course, which hopefully will be just a bit drier than it was before. Now our keys to the race, we have 47 laps to go and 3 pit stops.
Well, the real key to the race in terms of getting a good finish is to finish it first of all, but as you see there, 47 laps, 190 miles now the new race distance, 13 laps of pit interval, 3 pit stops minimum. During each pit stop, they have to change all 4 tires and put in some methanol fuel. They use methanol fuel here, not gasoline. First pit window will now open up at lap 39, lap 8, so that has not changed, and we're going to be set to go racing here pretty shortly. This is going to be fun, folks.
Well, geographically, we are just west of the shoreline with Lake Michigan, less than halfway up Lake Michigan. It lies north and south, just north of the Michigan, Indiana, and Wisconsin area. And now we see one of the Dale Coyne cars that has not fired down on pit road. While we watch that, we also are concerned about more weather, and this accounts for the shortening of the race. There is another, now as you mentioned a few moments ago, right now the rain isn't moving much at all, Jeremy. However, there is another large storm cell about 30 to 40 miles to our west, and again the weather patterns do move from westerly to easterly directions here in eastern Wisconsin, so that is a concern.
Rain, go away, I'd say. The good news for Walter Salas, they have got that car underway.
Guy Hobbs is down on pit row right now, and we hope to catch a word with him in just a moment. He is standing by with Emerson Fittipaldi. Guy, have you got him yet?
Yes, Emerson is right here. He's busy on the radio right now. Emerson, what do you think of the decision-making that's going on here right now?
Well, I think the right to stop, to take away the too much water, that you give aquaplaning. I mean, racing on the wets, you have to be very, very careful. And I think they did the right decision. I hope it'll be less water now. I told Thiago he has to stay on the track to the end of the race.
Now, have you told Thiago any secrets about getting around this place? Because obviously now the racing line is thrown out. You've got to go wide apex everywhere, and everything he's learned about this track now needs to be thrown out the window.
And well, my advice to Thiago is that on the main straight here, when it gets on top of the hill, there's a lot of water. Normally it's nearly top speed, there's a lot of aquaplaning. And the second straight going down to the hairpin again is another place where standing water, you know, and the kink. And that's to be my advice from my experience, but my biggest is a mandatory order to Thiago. He has to finish the race.
All right, Emerson, thank you very much. And of course, the kink is no fun in the dry, let alone in the wet. Just to let you know, too, Walter Salas had a hard time getting off the line. He had to start at the bottom of the hill, and they had a real hard time getting him going.
Well, Thiago has responded to Emerson on the radio and said, "Don't worry, boss, I'll take it very easy, I promise you." We have just come back from almost 21 minutes of a red flag condition, and now we are under yellow flag conditions. The pace car leads the field slowly around Road America, and we will take another look to reset the field for you as they will start. Bruno Junqueira is up front. Sebastian Bourdais makes it a Newman Haas front row. Patrick Carpentier is next. Oriol Servia is in fourth.
And those are the dry weather qualifying times you see on the right-hand side of the screen. 1 minute 43.703 seconds the pole time for Bruno Junqueira, and is a very closely matched field. Of course, in these wet conditions, we're not going to see lap times anything close to that. It's a very, very tricky proposition for these guys this afternoon. See farther down the field there, a few guys I think we can expect to see moving up through the field. Probably Roberto Moreno. He's got more experience than anybody probably in this field, in all sorts of race cars. Spent a lot of time in Formula One, driven a whole bunch of different sorts of race cars. Darren Manning, he's an Englishman, he's used to racing in the rain. Max Papis also, he's starting towards the back. Expect to see that PK racing car move toward the front.
Now let's take a look at the 3 car. This is Paul Tracy starting back in 6th position. Not only does he have radio problems, but now he's compounded that. He apparently has picked up a plastic bag of some sort. Let's look in the left radiator pod and see if we can find that.
Yeah, and if there is a plastic bag, and there's a good close look at it there. And maybe there is something in that left-hand side pod. And if there is a plastic bag in there, what it'll do is blank off the radiator, and it won't allow the air to flow through it. And you need that air flowing through the radiators to get the proper cooling. Not quite so critical in the rain in some ways, because the engine won't run quite as hot as it would otherwise, but still a major problem, a potential problem for Paul Tracy.
Now, 2 drivers who will start at the back of the course. First of all, let me remind you that we are still under yellow. We will go green next time by, but when we showed you the grid just moments ago, it showed Rodolfo Levine qualifying in 17th position. Because he went off in the rain about 20 minutes ago, just before the red flag came out, he will go to the tail of the field and start in 18th position. And behind him will start Walter Salas, whose car failed to start a few moments ago, and I believe they'll be the last 2 gentlemen in the field.
Well, actually, Rodolfo, they've decided that car isn't repairable, so they have withdrawn that Walker Racing car. But you're right, Walter Salas will start at the back of the field. It only costs him 1 position. He'll move move behind his teammate Jeff Boss.
Ford Cosworth engineers a few moments ago under red flag conditions said that they were concerned they were going to have to disconnect the batteries on the cars. Did they do that, and if so, what was the concern?
Well, look at that spray there. Yeah, the batteries, they want to make sure that everything doesn't overheat in the engine bay when they're getting ready for the restart. But that shot there was a great shot of the cars coming down that downhill straightaway, and the spray again, at much reduced speed. Look at the cars snaking around as they apply this 750 horsepower onto the road through these relatively hard Bridgestone Potenza wet compound tires. It's a very fast racetrack here, and because of those excessive speeds, they don't want too much tire wear, so it's a relatively conservative, harder compound tire. If you run a softer compound tire, it gives you a lot more grip in these conditions, but because of the nature of the racetrack, they want to keep that a fairly hard, conservative compound. Everybody is running.
We have intercepted some radio communications right now with Fernandez Racing, and Fernandez says things are getting really dicey out here, and that visibility, quote, is zero. There's not any. He's basically just running blind out here right now, and now we understand that the pace car is going to stay out for at least another lap.
Yeah, there still is an awful lot of water, and we can see them coming down the back straight, how much water there was, and even now here coming through the carousel, there's an awful lot of spray, and when they're up to full speed, particularly on the main straightaways here, visibility just about zero in these cars. They do have that rain light, so you can see where the next car is in front of you, but going at even in the wet, they'd be doing, well, 170 miles an hour or more on the straights, and those sort of speeds in these open wheel cars, that's a very dangerous proposition. So again, a good call by the officials. They really don't have much choice. I mean, everything now is beyond the control of anybody in race control. It's up to the weather gods whether they're going to behave and give us our, what we're here for this afternoon.
Absolutely. Well, 170 miles an hour in the rain is no mean feat, that's for certain. You see the Ducati car, the Chianti car, that's Fernandez and Jourdain Jr. flying by. Also, even under yellow, it doesn't seem as if these cars are going very fast, when in fact, if you compare that to the highway speeds that you drive to the grocery store, it's quite quick. And especially out in the rain, things are very, very slick right now. And once a car starts to get squirrely under these conditions, it's very, very difficult to gather back up. And that's why you have certain race drivers who are known for running extremely well in the wet.
And we're just hearing some radio communication from Sebastian Bourdais asking his pit crew, are they going to stop this race or not? And they call back from the pit lane, say, just be calm, follow the rules, follow the leader. We'll let you know if you need to know anything. Otherwise, just keep trolling around. And just when the cars are, running at these sort of speeds, they are dissipating some of the water. It is going to improve.
If we have a wet race?
Yeah, I think he certainly is. He was absolutely marvellous in that track at Portland International Raceway a couple of years ago, 4th Team Rahal. It was a great win. He'd qualified on the pole in dry conditions, and here the red flag is being shown again. So there it is from J.D. Wilbur. Racing Wood has come down from race control. It is too dangerous to consider starting the race right now. So, for safety reasons and safety alone, there's no way they can start this race. And it's a shame, but particularly for the people up here in the pit area on the start-finish straight. It's actually not raining up here at the moment, but as the people will know, out on the other parts of the racetrack, it's raining very, very heavily. So again, no real option but to stop this race again and just hope it's going to dry out.
So the red flag flies for the second time, and we are as anxious to bring you this race as the drivers are to compete in it. So believe me, we've got a boatload of people here at Road America all sitting around, and they are ready to go as soon as we get anything resembling safe circumstances under which to race. We'll go racing at Road America. Well, the rain clouds have parted just a little bit, and we now will bring you the Mario Andretti Grand Prix of Road America. It's another round of the Champ Car World Series, round 12 of 19 this year. I'm Stephen Cox along with Jeremy Shaw. Guy Hobbs will be down on pit row, and the excitement has been building for nigh on to how many hours? 2-3 hours of red flag waiting, watching, anticipating the moment that we would be able to go back to green. The lights are on the pace car. The field is lined up, and the drivers have already been ordered back into their cockpits.
And they will be firing up the engines any moment.
We now await the command to start the engines once again. That should come any moment now. And we also have not dry conditions, but better conditions than we had before.
Start your engine. Let's go racing Road America.
The Newman-Haas drivers, as will everyone else, start out on rain tires. The track is considerably wet in a number of places, especially on the north and west ends of the racetrack, and that's the big concern that we have been worried about most of the day, where water sand tends to gather in those areas. You're looking at Bruno Junqueira. He will lead the field down to a green flag, actually to a yellow flag to start with. But Jeremy, let's analyze the keys to this race, which is now down to just 34 laps.
Yeah, 34 laps. They still have to make a pit stop every 13 laps, so it will be a 2 pit stop race now. We've gone from 4 to 3 to 2. But at each pit stop, they will have to change tires and fill the tank up with fuel, and on they can go. There, finally, there rolls the pace car. 2 hours, 40 minutes of patience has passed us by since the last cars were on the racetrack. But now, finally, we're all fired up, and it's great to hear the sound of these turbocharged V8 engines out on the racetrack.
Well, let's take a look at the qualifications. Bruno Junqueira and Sebastian Bourdais, the Newman-Haas teammates, on the first row. Patrick Carpentier and Oriol Servia round out row 2.
Mario Dominguez, the best starting position for his career, on position 5. Paul Tracy, the championship leader, alongside him on the 3rd row of the grid. Right behind them, the 2 American Spirit Team Johansson cars of Jimmy Vasser and the rookie Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Adrian Fernandez got off a great lap this morning in warm-up. However, he's not been able to repeat it. He qualified only 9th. We look at the rest of the field, and we remind you that in 17th position, Rodolfo Levine started this race out under the yellow with the rest of the field earlier this afternoon. Then, in the rain, he crashed, tore up the rear wing of that race car, and he appears to be done for the day.
He is done for the day, yeah. The team thought about trying to fix it, but they're not allowed even to start fixing it until after the red flag is over. So even not until now would they been able to start, and by then they'd have been so far behind there really wasn't any point in continuing. So Rodolfo, after a career best finish in 8th place 1 week ago in Vancouver, will watch this from the sidelines.
Now, we remind you that the race, technically speaking, is going on right at this moment. As soon as the driver, we had already logged 7 laps. As soon as the drivers came out with their cars back onto the race course, they began working on lap number 8 out of 34. Now, that brings up a very interesting scenario, because the pit window opened at around lap 8, and that's going to be 1 lap from now.
It is, but the pits are closed until everybody takes the green flag. And I'm just watching the cars here as they come over the crest of the hill into turn 6, how much of an angle there is on the rear wings of these cars. Certainly in wet weather conditions, generally speaking, you would put a lot more angle into those wings to force the cars down onto the road, to give them more downforce, to allow them to go through the corners rather quicker. But some of the teams appear to me to have elected not to put that much downforce on the cars, and they are really going to be struggling through the twisty bits. On the straights they'll be in good shape, but around the corners they will struggle. I notice amongst others that the players team, they seem to have cranked in a good bit more downforce on their cars, and it's going to be interesting to see therefore whether Paul Tracy can work his up pretty quickly from that 6th starting position.
Of course, we've had some moisture still on the racetrack, and no doubt we will start to have a drying line on the racetrack, barring any more rain coming down in the Elkhart area. But right now, things look pretty good as they head down through the kink.
Well, they look a hell of a lot better, don't they? I mean, just if you think of it, last time the cars were on the racetrack, there were massive rooster tails of spray from these cars, and right now there is some spray, particularly down there, but I noticed as the cars were coming towards our camera location at the infamous kink here at Road America, didn't really look too bad at all. So I'd say conditions now definitely ready to restart the race.
Let's head down to Guy Hobbs. He's standing by with some information on Sebastian Bourdais.
Well, remember how he was anxious to go even when we had the rain before.
Uh-oh.
And now we have a car into the wall. That is the Vistion Patrick racing car of Oriol Servia. The front wing should be there, and it's not.
No, it isn't. And, you know, it's still very, very slippery out there. And with 750 horsepower and cold Bridgestone Potenza tires, almost no grip at all. And they need to build up a little bit of speed before you're going to build any heat into the tires. Let's have a replay here. You can see Oriol, the orange car there, coming down into the corner. And he just loses it there. As he stepped on the brakes, the car snaps to the left sharply into the wall, and it's ripped off the nose of the car. With a bit of luck, they might be able to get him restarted so he can come back to the pits. We hear, though, that the pits are closed, so that is certainly going to be put a a dent in Oriol Servia's day. He came in here with hugely high expectations. That Patrick Racing car, he qualified it on the second row of the grid, and look at all the mud all over that car. It's going to be a heck of a mess. He has stalled the engine. He's going to need a tow start before he can even get it underway at all, and then get it back to the pits and maybe make repairs. But certainly a sad sad way to begin this race for Oriol Servia.
And Serbia actually had a pretty good qualifying effort here, so it's a real shame for him. He will drop all the way back to 18th position, ahead right now of only Rodolfo Levine, who has not taken this third start of the day. So Lon Bromley and the director, he is the director of the #1 safety team for the Simple Green safety team. He will go down there and see if Lon can hook up to the front of Oriol's car and get him towed away. And remember, we are under yellow right now, even though these laps do count against our 34-lap total. So that brings up a situation where it is possible, possibly not likely, but it is at least theoretically possible for Oriol to get a tow, to get that car hooked back up and driving out on the racetrack, get fire back in the engine, and stay under yellow until the pits open, even without that front wing at a very low speed, and possibly not go a lap down. That may be a lot to ask, but at least it's feasible, and they're working on the car right now. It looks to me like they're going to lift the whole thing up. Now, before we finish that story, let's jump right back down to Guy Hobbs on pit row.
Actually, hang on one sec, because Jim McGee is busy right now talking to Oriol over the radio, trying to find out exactly what's going on. We'll check in with Jim in a second.
Okay, very good. In the meantime,
In the meantime, yeah, a note from Alex Tagliani, who reports to his crew that the track is more slippery than it was before, if that's possible. But, says Tagliani, I think it will get better. And I think he's right. As soon as they build a little bit of heat into these tires, and they will do that just by running around for a lap or two, then it will get a lot better very, very quickly. So I'd say another lap or two, particularly once we've got Oriol's car out of the way. He's down in turn 12. They're now going into turn 6. So still got another mile and a half or so before they get to where Oriol's car was off the road. Another lap or two, we should be able to get underway. There's certainly a heck of a lot less spray from these cars. There's a lot less water on the track than there was, nearly 3 hours ago when we last tried to start this race. And I reckon now we have got at least a fighting chance of getting things underway.
Well, the entire field on rain tires. Of course, they're not going to actually drive in the rain, but this will help since there is some moisture still in the racetrack and it still is very slick. In the meantime, we find out that Oriol Servia will not attempt in any way, shape, or form to finish this race, and that is a huge disappointment for Serbia.
Yeah, it certainly is. I think the front wheels have been knocked out of alignment. He ripped off the nose of the car. As you can see, there is Jim McGee, the veteran chief mechanic. Guy Hobbs is with him.
Yeah, Jim McGee, not a happy sight to see there, Oriol's car on the tow.
No, he just, I don't know, I haven't talked to him, but he didn't say anything. But it looks like he just came down in there and lost it on a warm-up lap and hit the fence and knocked the nose off it. So they pulled it behind the wall. They wouldn't let us bring it in. So that's it. I guess we're done for the day. But, the Visteon guys did a great job. We had a good car. I think we had a car we could have run out front, possibly won the race. So it's tough. But we'll go on to Mid-Ohio next week.
All right, a very long day, Jim McGee. All that waiting for a race, and then unfortunately they won't bring the car back up here, so they can't fix it. It's going behind the wall. And also Jim is not able to talk to Oriol. His radio is out.
Well, unfortunately, I guess they were thinking the same thing I was. They were hoping to get back out there and weren't permitted to.
Well, yeah, but they've got to. They're trying to get this race underway, and if somebody's, it's a totally driver error in that situation when you fall off under the pace car when you're running around at very much reduced speed. That's a big mistake from Oriol Servia. I'm sure he's hugely embarrassed, let alone frustrated. And his error. And it's all very well if you make a mistake under racing conditions, but if you make them while the pace car is out there, then I can see the officials pointing, not wanting to get it back underway. I mean, under normal circumstances, if this was the beginning of the day, they probably would get a chance to get it back on the racetrack. But with all that mud all over the car, if they'd put it back on the racetrack, he'd have just dragged all that mud onto the racing surface, and it's slippery enough as it is without dragging a carload of mud onto the track as well.
Well, we see one lap to go from the flagman, yet on the race course, we see the field pick up considerable speed here. Now, here is what is taking place. The pace car has been told to pull off and allow Bruno Junqueira to go around under yellow and lead the field at whatever speed he sees fit to do some recon on the track, to check out the grip a little bit so the revs do come up, and he is on the throttle at least to an extent, and to bring the field back around to a green flag, hopefully this time around.
And certainly they're trying to space out the cars a little bit, give them a little bit of breathing room here so that each of them can get a feel of what the conditions are like. And Max Papis said over the radio, I'll get them when I can. Tagliani says it's slippery as heck out there, but there is Alex Tagliani, the Rocket Sports Racing car. Guy Hobbs in the pit lane.
Down here with Paul Gentilozzi, got a big smile on his face. Happy to see this thing finally get started.
Well, I wish it would rain a little more since we're on a wet setup, but I'm glad for the fans and I'm glad for all the TV audiences to finally get this going. I'm sure there are a lot of factors in the decision process. Some of them we'll never know, but we are going to race here.
Is Alex pretty pumped up and focused and ready to race?
Oh, he is. He said the track is still quite wet, but we're ready for that. He's always fast in the rain. All we got to do now is have a little luck.
All right, we'll look for that, and I suppose we'll have to do it. Phil Howard wants me to say hi to his mum, so hi, Phil Howard's mum.
Well, thank you, Guy, for that report. And Paul Gentilozzi, of course, one of the people who I just was very critical of the decision not to race earlier in the day. He wanted to go racing. That's what they make rain tires for, he said. But that is all behind us. And Tagliani is ready to go with his boss's full backing. And the Newman Haas team will lead us back to green flag.
Yeah, Gentilozzi's perspective, of course, is from a sports car and a sedan standpoint, which is totally different to an open wheel standpoint. But, you know, the vast majority of the drivers were of the same opinion that the track was not raceable. And Paul will always have his opinions. That's what we like him for. But there's poor old Oriol Servia. He's got to stand down there in Canada corner and watch the start of this race. How frustrating for him.
Boy, that's got to be terribly disgusting for Oriol, especially after the effort he put in this weekend. Meantime, race control says to get back in single file, get whatever space you desire between yourselves, because we are getting ready to go to green here in just a few moments.
Going through 14 and coming up the hill as you started. Green flag, green flag.
The green flag comes down and Bruno drops the throttle and heads into the first turn with his teammate right behind him, and then both players' cars coming in. We've seen a huge jump from Paul Tracy right at the very beginning. He is up into the top 5, possibly the 4th position right now, behind his own teammate, Patrick Carpentier.
And there's a big challenge there for the race leader. Here is Patrick Carpentier in 3rd place, trying to make a move on the red and white car of Sebastian Bourdais. The 3 leaders very close together, coming down the hill towards turn 5. There's Bourdais protecting the inside line. You're not supposed to do that, Sebastian. The rules are no blocking maneuvers allowed in this racing series right now. He's blocking there. That is a block, and I'm afraid he's probably going to get a black flag for it, and he's not going to be very happy.
Well, he also got the car just a bit loose under acceleration coming out of the corner. He's using up all the racetrack right here. Now Carpentier will drop down to the inside and not quite make the pass. He pushed him very, very hard into that corner, and here comes Tracy.
Yes, he is. Paul Tracy is on a charge around the outside, under braking for turn 8. Great ball! He carries too much speed in the corner. Off goes Paul Tracy, and he hits the tires.
And that is the end of Paul Tracy's day, and possibly the end of his championship points lead. He has an 18-point lead, and another accident. That's Tiago Montero. Also the 15 car. That should be
I think Michel Jourdain, yeah, and Darren Manning, the car number 15.
The Walker car is involved in that as well. 3 cars in that accident, started by Paul Tracy, for a total of 4. That is really going to shake things up, because Michel Jourdain Jr. really needed this race as well to put himself back in the points battle. Now let's look at it again.
Oh, good grief. What a shame. The pits are closed, we're here right now. I'm not quite sure why the pits are closed, but the pits are closed. And we're going to watch a replay of Paul Tracy coming down the outside line here. Patrick Carpentier lets him plenty of room on the outside. Paul just carries way too much speed into the corner. He runs through the gravel trap here. And look at this. He's going to hit the tires. He's trying to get it away from the tires. He can't. But what a big disaster for Paul Tracy. He came onto the radio and apologized to his crew. He said, I messed up myself here, guys, or words to that effect. Wasn't quite that, but that was the effect of it. And this is massive for the championship. His title rival, Bruno Junqueira, came into this race. There's behind him, we saw the car of Michel Jourdain Jr. sideways. Thiago Montero and Darren Manning nowhere to go in that instance. There's Max Papis and Mario Haberfeld picking their way through.
And I'm looking for another DNF for Paul Tracy this year, and aside from a 17th place finish at Brands Hatch, I can't find one.
No, he's had a great run. He had a massive gearbox failure at Brands Hatch. That his only retirement of the year. And here's the other guy. He was third in points, Michel Jourdain Jr. coming in here. So this is looking like a monumental day for Bruno Junqueira. If he can keep that car on the road, he is going to not only catch up with Paul Tracy, he's going to overtake Paul Tracy in the points table. He came in here with a 20-point deficit. He's already picked up 2 points on that by winning the pole and the provisional pole on Friday. And now if he can keep it on the road here, he's going to pick up another 20 points for winning the race and conceivably also one more for leading most laps. So this has massive implications, and Bruno Junqueira could be having a bigger smile even than he had yesterday after winning the pole.
Absolutely. In the meantime, we take a look at Roberto Moreno. The left rear of that tire apparently caught some debris from that accident as well. And let's jump right down to the pits and catch up with Guy Hobbs.
Neil, what's Paul been telling you on the radio?
He just came across the radio and basically said that, he messed up. I think we knew with the way the weather had been changing, obviously it's getting drier, we were trying to make as much position as we could. And I think he just got caught out a little bit there on the outside of 8.
We see him stuck in the gravel trap. He's trying to get out, but he's not able to, just getting wheel spin. This has a huge implication on the point standings.
Yeah, it does, certainly, but, there's still quite a few races to go, so we'll see how today plays out. It's not how we would like to have seen it, but we'll get him next week in Mid-Ohio.
All right, Neil, Paul is out of the car, and the car is on the hook and should be back here pretty soon.
So now as we see Roberto Moreno come back out of the pits with a fresh left rear tire on that race car and hopefully topping off the fuel as well. He might as well complete his full servicing on the race car right now. We consider once again the Paul Tracy situation, and that is really ugly for Paul. Not only is it bad for him, but now Bruno Junqueira finds himself in an unbelievable position with a great deal of pressure to finish this race well.
Indeed, and Michel Jourdain Jr., as we said, third in points coming in here. What was he, 30-odd points behind, 36 points behind Paul Tracy coming into this weekend. You can see him there with the green, white and red helmet alongside his Gigante car, the big G on the back of his suit, and you can see him there wearing the Hans device, which is designed to protect the drivers' heads and necks in the event of an accident. There's Dr. Terry Trammell talking with Michel Jourdain Jr. And Michel's clearly absolutely fine, but his car is not. And again, for him, he was looking to pick up some points this season, and particularly having maybe, I don't know, really had time to see Paul Tracy off the road, but he must have been thinking, oh great, I can make up some points. And that thought quickly went away when his car revolved around there in turn 8 and was collected by Thiago Montero and Darren Manning. Darren Manning, incidentally, did get going again. There's Montero, he's still in that car. And we heard Emerson Fittipaldi tell him early on, you must finish this race. And clearly Thiago Montero is keeping to his word, because he's not getting out of that race car. They're going to pull it around, put it down on the racetrack, hopefully bump start him, and maybe he can get back again. It's going to be a lap or so down. Darren Manning, meanwhile, is not a lap down. He did get going. He came around past us this time around to complete lap 11. And we now have, 14 cars still running. Paul Tracy is definitely out. Thiago Montero is as yet not definitely out.
Wonder why Paul Tracy would clearly stay on the throttle so heavily after he was off in the gravel trap. The answer to that is, if you stop in the gravel trap, you're done anyway. You might as well stay on the throttle and see if you can whip the car around and kind of fishtail the back end around in time to get it back on the grass and try to get out there. That was clearly Paul's idea, but he ran out of racetrack and he ran out even of gravel trap and ended up over into the tire barrier. But it was his only opportunity to try to get back out on the course at all.
So now we hear that the pits are open, so they can make a pit stop this time around. Indeed, they will make a pit stop around, because this is lap 13. So we've seen, about a half a lap of real racing, and now we're going to see some more kind of real racing in the pits. Montero has finally given up the ghost. He's realized there is some damage on that car, so he has given up. The car is now behind the wall, so disappointment for the entire Fittipaldi Dingman team. He's got a reasonably good car this weekend. He didn't qualify particularly well, but he was certainly, as one of the Europeans, he's a lot more used to wet weather driving than quite a few of these guys. He was looking forward to this race, but unfortunately, it's not to be for Thiago. But this is lap 13. This is the opening of the pit, well, not the opening of the pit window. This is, everybody will have to make a pit stop this time round. So even though we've only seen a half a lap of racing out on the racetrack, we're going to see now a race on pit lane as the pit crews get ready to service their cars.
Now let's keep an eye on Max Pappas in the 27 PK Racing car. He took over that ride, of course, just a few months ago as Michel Jourdain Jr. makes his way back to the pits as well. But Max Pappas is a very good driver in the wet, and we will keep an eye on him to see how far forward he can move. He is now up to 9th position as we speak. The pressure, of course, is on the Newman-Haas team.
Yeah, brilliant drive from 16th to 9th by Max. Primarily, of course, just by keeping out of trouble. All the pits, the guys in pit lane are laid out for their cars, at least the ones that are still running. And we will be coming around there. They're coming up through the final couple of corners, and they'll be coming. There is the American Spirit Team Hansen guys ready for Jimmy Vasser and Ryan Hunter-Reay. Everybody else is out. 14 cars are still running, and we will see 14 pit stops coming up momentarily. They'll peel off to the right here onto pit lane.
Well, let's stand by because Newman-Haas will be under a tremendous amount of pressure here. They have done a very, very good job all year long getting in and out of pit row. Of course, nobody can do it quite like Team Rahal. They have the least cumulative time of all the teams combined. However, Newman-Haas is a very, very experienced team, and they know what they're doing as well. Let's go down to pit road with Guy Hobbs.
And we're waiting for Sebastian Bourdais and Bruno Junqueira to pull in. It's going to be a race on pit lane. The pit lane is very slick, so you've got to be careful coming in. Patrick Carpentier also been in the front. He's got lots of room around him now. No Paul Tracy making a stop. The battle is on. Looks like Junqueira has won it. Sebastian Bourdais is out too. And it is Bruno who gets out first.
Looked like a great stop there for the Herdez team. I think they got, yeah, they did. Mario Dominguez out in 3rd place ahead of Patrick Carpentier, and Adrian Fernandez a big gainer there as well. He moved up from 7th to, what, 4th or 5th?
Absolutely. So Dominguez's day just gets better and better. He qualified in 5th position, just unprecedented for him, and now he gets out in 3rd.
Yeah, Jimmy Vasser, the big loser there. He came into the pits in 5th and goes out, I think it was around about 12th, so a big disaster for Jimmy Vasser. And Ryan Hunter-Reay, his teammate, also has trouble in the pits. Only now is he getting started by the crew, so a disaster for the American Spirit team.
I wonder, however, if these weather conditions might permit them, as Hunter-Reay comes back out on the racetrack, to maybe make that up a little bit easier, where track position might not become as important as it would on a totally dry racetrack.
Yeah, you're not wrong there, but Jimmy Vasser very, very upset in the cockpit about that tyre change that went wrong there. His guys just did not have a clean pit stop. He lost a lot of positions. He did at least fare a little bit better than his teammate Ryan Hunter-Reay. You can see the rest of the field coming down into turn 5, which is about, what, a good mile and a half from the pits, and Ryan Hunter-Reay just leaving the pit lane.
Roberto Moreno will have to go all the way to the back of the pack. He came into the pits while the pits were closed, so that will cost him just a few positions. He was running back about, what, 14th position?
He was at the back of the pack in any case before this round of stops. He probably made up a couple of positions because of the problems with some of the other guys, but he is going to fall back down. Guy Hobbs has caught up with Michel Jourdain Jr.
Yeah, Michel has made the walk back to the pit area. Michel, what happened?
Well, I arrived there turn whatever it is before the carousel, and I saw Paul that he went off, so I slowed down, and as soon as I touched the brakes, the car went around me.
Down at turn 8, the conditions out there still pretty treacherous.
No, the track is very good. It's just very slippery. There's very little grip, so that's it.
All right, a short day, and obviously you can see a very unhappy Michel Jourdain.
And a huge disappointment, especially considering the fact that, like you said, the track is really not that bad. We don't even have any rain to contend with now, just some moisture still remaining on the surface.
Yeah, it is. Conditions certainly very, very treacherous there, and with these cars, there is a Tracy spinning his wheels. You can see Michel's car completely broadside, and poor old Thiago Montero and Darren Manning as well, just unable to avoid him. And they were running close behind him, and Jourdain's car just sideways, completely broadside across the road. And in these conditions, you have very little grip, and once you're committed to yourself to a line through the corner, there's not much chance of changing it. So they were just unable to avoid sliding into the side of Jourdain's car, and Montero and Jourdain both out of the race. Darren Manning not so. He is out and running, but at the back of the field and with some damage to the nose of his car, which I'm not sure. I think they might have changed it actually during that pit stop for Darren Manning. So I think it looked there like he had a clean nose on the car.
And
because the pit crews, they do practice changing the noses on these cars. That's part of their routine. So, practice pit stops. Yeah, that car looks nice and clean. Number 15 there is Ryan Hunter-Reay, who had the problem, and Moreno at the very, very back, having had to wave these guys past. But he was last before this round of pit stops. In any case, here we are though, coming back to green flag racing. We hope.
We do expect a green flag this time around. The pace car is already in. As we watch this restart, keep in mind that your number 1 and 2 drivers right now enjoy an opportunity that they have not had all year long. Newman Haas finds its lead driver, Bruno Junqueira, trailing by 18 points in the championship, and all Paul Tracy can do for the rest of the day is sit back and watch his lead slip away.
There's Alex Tagliani there trying to make a move, or actually making a move on Adrian Fernandez going into turn 1, and Tagliani moves himself up, I think, into what, 5th place, I think now, and Fernandez coming under pressure from Max Papis. Farther back down the field, there's the white car, and making a move on the yellow. That's Darren Manning trying to get past Gualter Salas.
We also got a brief shot, and look at Patrick Carpentier. Patrick is trying to make a move right there on Mario Dominguez, and he's looking down to the inside in turn 5. Can he make it stick? Yes. There is another possibility of a blocking move right there. Mario Dominguez pushed Patrick down to the inside of the racetrack.
That's absolutely fine. I mean, he's just taking a racing line there, is Mario Dominguez. That's absolutely fine. That's not a blocking move at all. Patrick Carpentier makes the move down to the inside, a clean move down the inside by Patrick. Good move. He lost the position in the pits. He regains it on the racetrack.
We hear now that Ryan Hunter-Reay will have to make a stop along pit road because he sped through the sped. Is that a word? I just made that up. I'll use it anyway. He sped down pit row, and now look at this. I believe that's Roberto, is it not?
I think it is. He was last. Well, he was last in any case.
That's Mario.
Dominguez.
That's Mario Dominguez. That is huge. Mario was all the way up to 4th position.
Oh, what a shame for Mario Dominguez. Off there in turn 8. Same place Paul Tracy went off. Here we are coming around the carousel. Look at them. They're keeping right to the outside of the racetrack. And there's more grip out there now. In the dry conditions, they'll stay right to the inside of the curve. But that is where all the rubber and everything is laid down on the racetrack. And in the dry, there's a lot more grip there. But in the wet, there sure isn't. And look at that. Bruno Junqueira and Sebastian Bourdais driving right around the outside of that turn. There's just there's less grease and rubber down there. And in these conditions, a lot more grip.
Patrick Carpentier is in 3rd position, and Sebastian Bourdais told us after qualifying yesterday, made no secret of the fact that, hey, part of his job was simply to protect Bruno's opportunity to retake the points lead and to be a good teammate. Well, he is making no attempt at pressuring or passing Bruno right now, and the 2 Newman Haas cars are pretty much going off into the distance. Patrick cannot keep up.
No, there's no team orders, I don't think, there at Newman Haas Racing. So if Sebastian Bourdais can make a move on Bruno Junqueira, probably fair enough.
Patrick has fallen back just a bit, and once again we see a lot of offline activity right here. These guys moving all over the racetrack, looking not only to find where there's less grease and less moisture, but also if the track begins to dry out and develop a dry line, you will not want to overheat these rain tires. They will go away on you very quickly. It's almost better to keep them at least mildly wet.
Yes, indeed, and you can see Sebastian Bourdais there trying to keep on the wet side of the racetrack, on the inside there, under braking, and he's trying to get as much grip as he can and keep those tires cool. These wet weather tires, they have a tread pattern on these tires, and once the race circuit begins to dry out, then they quickly get overheated. So it's really right now the guy who can protect his tires the best, not chew them up, is going to be in the best shape, and that's very, very difficult. The track now is beginning to dry very, very quickly.
15 laps down, 19 remain in the race. We have 3 hours and 54 minutes and 32 seconds officially elapsed since this race began, with the initial rainstorms that brought out a red flag earlier in the afternoon. In the meantime, we've seen a tremendous amount of activity. Paul Tracy is out of this race. Michel Jourdain Jr. is out of this race, and that is Adrian Fernandez looking to move up in his position. Right now, he is working in 5th, and Max Papis is still charging for the back of this field. Now, you shorted him a little last time. You said a lot of it was attrition, but he's moving.
Yeah, he's made a move there at the restart. He got past Mario Dominguez when Mario fell off the road, and his pit crew made him up as a bunch of positions as well. Now he's putting Adrian Fernandez under a lot of pressure. Fernandez goes well on this racetrack. He's had a trio of podium finishes in 99, 2000, and 01, and he'd love nothing better to get another podium finish here this afternoon.
Max Papis, of course, the winner at Portland a few years ago in a heavy downpour. Adrian Fernandez, no slouch in the rain either, however. They haven't found the balance on the race car like they wanted. They seem to come out this morning, though, with a very nice, quick lap in the dry in third place in the morning warm-up. Of course, that seems like an eternity ago now after the rain that we have been through today.
Oh, doesn't it just? It is an age ago. There goes that battle between Fernandez and Papis for 5th place, coming down to turn 1. And Papis, he got close to Adrian, but getting close and getting past two entirely different propositions. There is Mario Haberfeld now up into 7th place.
Now let's talk with Guy Hobbs, because Ryan Hunter-Reay had to come in for a penalty, or has he already served that, Guy?
He's already served his penalty. It was a drive-through for speeding in pit lane. He was speeding in pit lane at 69 miles per hour. It is a 50-mile-an-hour limit. But what happened is he was trying to make up for the lost time on that pit stop. I guess a rookie team and a rookie driver, they dropped him off the jacks, and Ryan stalled the car twice before he was able to exit. That's why their pit stop was so long.
Thank you very much, Guy. Let's go back to our leaders. That is Ryan Hunter-Reay, and this is Bruno Junqueira, and it's an excellent chance for us to sit back, turn up the sound, and enjoy the sights and the sounds that go on at the Mario Andretti Grand Prix. There is a complete lap with your leaders, the Newman-Haas team of Bruno Junqueira and Sebastian Bourdais. Patrick Carpentier takes just a little bit of a rear-end twitch as he comes out of turn number 1, accelerates that 750 horsepower Ford Cosworth engine, and now we see Alex Tagliani starting to make a charge up toward the front with Patrick Carpentier. In fact, he puts out the fastest lap of the race just moments ago. Max Papis is running very well in 6th position. There's a good battle going on now between Mario Haberfeld, Darren Manning, and Jimmy Vasser as well. Tagliani, of course, back up to 4th place. It's been kind of an up-and-down weekend for him.
Certainly has, and here is the battle here farther back. There is Mario Haberfeld and Darren Manning. He got past Jimmy Vasser last time around, and now the Englishman walks past the Brazilian as well. Two Reynard chassis here, the yellow and orange car of Mario Haberfeld. Here comes Darren Manning down to the inside under braking for turn 5.
And Manning is flying past cars left and right now. He was down 12th, 13th position just a few moments ago as we came in for that last set of pit stops. So he is running extremely well.
Certainly is, and he's got a lot of wet weather experience, of course, as Mario Haberfeld. He's done a lot of racing in Europe, in England in particular. Won the British Formula Renault Championship and the Formula 3 Series. Darren Manning, he's won a lot of Formula 3 races all the way around the world. He's raced in Japan as well, and he also, whenever there's a race meeting in Japan, it seems to rain, and it rains big over there. So he has a lot of wet weather experience, and he's using it to tremendous effect this afternoon.
And he is pulling away from Mario Haberfeld now without much problem at all. He's taken that position and moved forward. He got past Jimmy Vasser. Vasser is not driving a bad race either. He came out of the pits in 10th, immediately jumped up to 8th place before being passed by Darren Manning just 1 lap ago. This is a battle for 3rd place, and now we see a move by Tagliani. He's working the inside of Patrick Carpentier. He can't make it stick this time around. He's fighting a very, very low line that has a lot of moisture still on it, but he is on the attack.
He is on the attack, and he wants past Patrick Carpentier. The team is telling him to stay with Pat. He's not only staying with Pat, he's trying to pass him as well. He's not going to look to the inside in turn 1, I don't believe, but maybe if he can get a good run through here, he might be able to get a run down the hill into turn 3, or maybe not. More likely would be turn 5. You can get a good run out of this corner. That is there. It's kind of turn 2, the little kink. Now we're coming onto the back straightaway here, and Patrick Carpentier last time around a 209.13, won the fastest lap at that time. Again, Alex Tagliani a 208.7.
And Tagliani was caught up in that huge mess that took place on Thursday afternoon when Tiago Montero got into an accident, and Tagliani, of course, was in that as well. And also Mario Haberfeld was involved in that, so his weekend has been very, very difficult. That crash took them out of pre-qualifying practice on Thursday and had forced them to go over to their backup car. And they've been kind of chasing things ever since, but he's putting on quite a show right now.
Certainly is, and Jimmy Vasser also got past Mario Haberfeld, and Max Papis had got past Adrian Fernandez as well. That move happening in turn one, but here is a battle for third place. There is Alex Tagliani, the Johnson Controls car, Rocket Sports Racing, against the Players car. These two, of course, last couple of years, they've been teammates for Players Forsyth Racing. Now they are adversaries on different teams. Tagliani still carries some support from Players. In actual fact, he had a contract to drive for Team Players this year. They let him go from that contract in order to pick up the services. Whoa, look at a sideways slide there for Patrick Carpentier coming through the king. That'll give Tagliani maybe an opportunity to get alongside.
Well, he certainly is trying. Tagliani is putting on a tremendous amount of pressure here over the last few minutes, and both of these guys could soon come under pressure. And look at Tagliani try the outside there.
Yes, Tagliani clearly now has a quicker car than Patton. Patton goes very wide there in turn 13. He reckons there's more grip. Tagliani unable to make a move, and it's not in these conditions. It's going to be awfully difficult to call anybody for blocking, because you're just looking now for an optimum racing line, and we are these two battling together. It's going to allow a little bit of breathing room for Sebastian Bourdais, who's now fallen about 3 seconds behind the race leader. But here's Tagliani. He's got a good run on the straight. He's going to pull to the inside into turn one.
He takes the draft. He looks down into turn one. He's going to try to outbrake him, but it's not going to work. Boy, that is a wet area right there, and that is a very risky move for Tagliani.
It is indeed. When you get off the line there to the inside, oh, there's one. Mario Dominguez is off again.
That will bring out 2 yellow flags instead of 1, and that signifies our first full course yellow in some time, and that is a huge disappointment. You know, Mario Dominguez could do no wrong on Thursday and Friday and Saturday. Came out with a tremendous qualifying run, goes all the way up to 3rd place, and has gone off twice now, and it's been a disaster ever since.
It has been a disaster. There's a little bit of a lick of a flame there coming from the overflow there on that car, and watch again now. He makes the move to the inside of Jeff Boss going into Canada corner. Just carries too much speed past the apex. He can't make it around. He spins it around and backwards into the gravel trap, and with this gravel now being well and truly wet, no way of getting out there under your own power.
Boy, that's very disappointing. Let's take a moment now and head down as we look at the continuing fire there on the back of Mario Dominguez's car. I don't think that's a big problem. He's going to try to get pulled out of there, but let's see if we can catch up with Guy Hobbs, because he has cornered Paul Tracy.
Yes, I have, and Paul is actually getting ready to leave the track. Paul, terrible day, really.
Yeah, I mean, I basically threw it away, so I'm pretty disappointed in myself. You know, I thought I was a pretty good rain driver, but I locked the rears going down the hill, and that was it. I couldn't stop. Ended up in the gravel trap. I was up to 3rd at that point, so it looked like it was going to be a pretty good day with a long way to go, and I just got it in and locked the rears and got in the gravel, and I thought I'd try to power through the gravel trap, and the gravel trap took me into the tire barrier, so that was it.
Yeah, we were speculating as to why you hadn't let off when you went into the gravel trap. That was to try and whip it around.
Well, I was trying to power all the way through it and try to get out the other side, but the way it was graded, it just kept driving me over into the tires. I thought I could just miss the tires, but it caught the front tire, and that was it.
Is it even more of a disappointment that we've waited all day long to get this racing and then only get one lap in?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, this isn't how we wanted our race weekend to go, so we wanted to have a good weekend, and you know, we didn't. We had a pretty bad weekend for us, so we'll try to regroup and hit him at Mid-Ohio.
Because you came into this weekend with a 20-point lead, and obviously a big chunk of that's going to be taken away.
Yeah, well, we'll wait and see. There's a long way to go in the race, but you know, worst case scenario for us, and you know, we'll see what happens with Junqueira.
All right, we'll see you next week.
Well, Paul Tracy and everybody else watching the Newman Haas team right now. We are still under a full course yellow, and we have the safety crew, the Simple Green safety team number 4, with John Mull as the crew chief there, pulling away that car. That is the car of Mario Dominguez. He was hoping to get pulled out of there. Instead, he's going to get lifted out, and that will more than likely end his day.
There is Mario Dominguez. He's realized now he's not going to get back out, and again, a disappointment for him. 2 races running, he's been involved in various incidents. Last time he was involved in an incident on the very first lap, which really wasn't his fault, but he then got back into the fray a couple of laps down, and unfortunately took out Patrick Carpentier later in the proceedings. Patrick was running in 2nd place at the time. As a result of that, Mario Dominguez was put on probation by the kart chief steward Chris Neifel, and therefore he came in here with a sort of Damocles dangling over his head. But he responded in fine fashion in qualifying, a career best 5th on the grid. But unfortunately, it's not to translate into a good result here this afternoon.
Well, the pits are open, and we will watch for Newman Haas' team to come in very shortly, and Guy Hobbs will have that call for us. There's the American Spirit car of Ryan Hunter-Ray, who runs at the back of the pack right now. He is on the lead lap, but running in 13th position.
A couple of notes from the radios here, and thanks to Lynn Olvey for bringing this to us. She's listening on a scanner. Alex Tagliani says there's a lot of fumes from Pat's car, from Patrick Carpentier's car, and the crew asked him whether he's dry enough yet to put on slick tyres, and he says no, not yet.
So now we have all the teams, really the entire field will come down pit row, and we will link up with Guy Hobbs.
And you mentioned the switch to slicks there. Apparently Sebastian Bourdais has been asking for slicks, and the team said no, you can't have them, just follow Bruno. But he's been asking for slicks. As they now approach the pit lane, Bruno in first. Again, it's still very slick on pit lane, a bit of a slide there. Patrick pulls into his pit box, and Sebastian Bourdais too. And you can hear the motors, full throttle, quick stop. Bruno beats Bourdais out. Also, Darren Manning had a great pit stop, and did Max Papis.
And Patrick Carpentier goes backwards big time. Yes. He will drop all the way out of the top 5. Max Papis will make that order. But what happened with Patrick Carpentier? A terribly slow stop.
Yeah, great stop by Timmy Coffin there, and the boys on the #1 car. Bruno Junqueira keeps him in the lead. Sebastian Bourdais in second. There is Tagliani in third. A brilliant stop by the crew there of Darren Manning. Car number 15 there. Brendan Cleve leads that team on the outside front tyre, and he's a big mover. He goes from 7th to 4th there. He comes out of the pits. Papis in 5th. Carpentier falls from 3rd to 7th. Jimmy Vasser and Jeff Boss both moved up there. And again, another big loser, Adrian Fernandez, falls from 6th to 10th.
So Fernandez and Carpentier have disastrous stops on their hands. And in the meantime, we see a lot of drivers out there trying to waggle those tires back and forth, work some heat into the fresh rubber that they have on. And hopefully we will go green soon. We still are under a full course yellow caused by Mario Dominguez just a few laps ago. And also we have Max Papis, one of the movers and shakers, coming from 16th all the way up to 5th on the grid as we speak. Now he drops back to 5th. Carpentier is being shown in 4th place.
Yeah, that's when they came into pit lane, so that'll shuffle around when they come back out
in 7th, I believe.
Yeah, around about there, and certainly lost a lot of positions. And Max, he did pass one guy. I think he got past Mario Haberfeld under that brief green we had before we went back to yellow again. But he's taken advantage of excellent pit stops, work in the pits by his team. That's Chris Schofield and the guys on that PK Racing car. Max Papis, as you can see, running in 5th, 6th place there for the PK car. A big move, and as I say, it's all down to great pit work there and keeping your nose clean. To finish first you've got to finish and not make any mistakes. That is proving the key for Max Papis as he moves his way up the order.
Yeah, and he is actually in 5th place, not 6th. He got past Patrick Carpentier as well on that last pit stop. So the thing, it all works out this way. Junqueira in 1st and Bourdais in 2nd. No change there. However, Alex Tagliani moves up to 3rd position. He is followed by Darren Manning and also Max Papis.
And a word of encouragement from Tag from his pit. Good job, they're saying over the radio. And they reckon, they said Bourdais is looking very nervous. Keep your eye on him. That's the word from Phil Howard and Paul Gentilozzi there to Tagliani. And he's, I don't know how they can see that Sebastian's looking nervous, but apparently that's the case. And he's Tagliani, certainly, he's got a very, very quick car in these conditions, and he's going to be looking to move up once we get back to green, which will be momentarily.
Well, Bourdais didn't look very nervous when he won at Germany or at Brands Hatch or a number of other places. However, there's some pretty good parking lot going on down there, too, as you end up through Canada Corner.
Yeah, let's hope there's no other additions to that parking lot. A very expensive parking lot it is down there. These cars cost around about $375,000, excluding engine and tyres. The tyres come out around about $1,000 a set. The engine program from Ford Cosworth, it's a great engine. It's a turbocharged engine, tremendously reliable. You have a lease package which costs about $1.2 million a year. Yeah, a lot of money. A year ago, these engines cost $5 million a year. So they've done a great job in bringing down the cost. We're coming back to green.
Green flag, green flag.
So the drivers see just what you saw. There's actually 2 hills, not one, but 2 slight rises in the ground. One of them big, this one rather small, that blocks the driver's view as they're coming up and over out of that 14th turn to take the green flag. So as they head down into turn number 1, once again, we jump on board Bruno Junqueira and Sebastian Bourdais working. And now you've got a battle a little further back in the field. That is Jeff Boss working.
Yeah, amongst the Brazilians, Elkhart Salas trying to find a way past Mario Haberfeld. That is a battle for 10th place. Jeff Boss, a couple of positions up the road. Jeff's going very well in 8th place, by far his best run in the champ car. You see his yellow car at the top of the screen there. Is Tagliani leading down. Followed this car is Darren Manning. A great run by him. He's running very well indeed for Walker Racing. They've got a new nose on that car at the previous pit stop, and now he's taking full advantage of all his wet weather experience. He's chasing after Alex Tagliani. Tagliani 3rd, Darren Manning in 4th, Max Papis in 5th.
And we spoke earlier in the day of rain being the great equalizer, and now we see Darren Manning in a Reynard chassis and Max Papis with older equipment. PK Racing not getting the results that they want. They're coming out and having very good afternoons.
Yes, indeed. And here we go. They're coming around the carousel. You can see how the track is drying out pretty quickly. I don't think anybody was brave enough to try on dry weather tires. We can see as they're coming down towards the kick, it's almost dry there. But now when we get down through this section of the track underneath the trees, it's still going to be pretty slippery. The track there doesn't dry out nearly as quick as that section there. Whoa, you see there, big slide. Not sure who that was. I think it was probably Patrick Carpentier at the tail end of that group of cars. Yeah, it was Pat. He got it very sideways through the kick at about 150 miles an hour.
And although you say that Max Papis hasn't actually passed many people, I bet there's one guy down on pit road that is very, very happy about his position.
He certainly is. And Craig, you guys just pulled off an absolutely fantastic pit stop.
We had a great pit stop. The guys have done fantastic work, and obviously Max is out there doing what he can do. He's a great driver in the rain, and I say these conditions are definitely helping us out.
He's currently running in the 5th position, and you can go the rest of the way without having to make another stop. But it seems like there's a little bit of rain starting to fall.
Well, probably for us, the more rain that falls, the better it is, as Max is good in the rain. But certainly we can go until the end of the race, so let's just hope for the best and keep our fingers crossed.
All right, I'll let you get back on the radio to him. Craig Pollitt with Max Papis.
Thank you, Guy. Carpentier is going to come up and make a game of it because he is in 6th position right now, and he was just passed on pit row. He sat there for a tremendous period of time and just watched as Max Papis drove right past him under pit road speed limit. So that's going to be very frustrating. You can sit there and do absolutely nothing, and now he has to make up for it on the racetrack.
Yeah, he does. And the best work in the pits there was by the Walker Racing crew of Darren Manning. They moved him, made him jump from 7th to 4th, and Darren Manning has a great run for him. That would equal his career best result in the champ cars. That came also in the state of Wisconsin on the Milwaukee Mile. So Darren Manning, he has had a bunch of good runs this season, and for a guy who hasn't even tested here before, a tremendous run there is car number 15, the RAC Auto Windscreens car, Air China on the side of that car as well for Walker Racing. There is Patrick Carpentier in 6th place. He wants 5th from Max Papis.
And just a few sprinkles coming down on the front stretch. Nothing serious yet, but there are a number of drivers out there who would love nothing more than to have more rain. Jeff Boss has to be one of them. He's driving a fine race. He has passed Roberto Moreno. He is now up to 8th position. Alex Tagliani, Darren Manning, especially Darren Manning and Max Papis, you have to look at their top 5 runs and think, boy, these guys are doing great in the wet, and they would really enjoy it. Of course, the equalizing rain factor really throws the dice for a lot of these teams and allows some teams to come to the forefront where otherwise they may not have had that opportunity. And, of course, the absence of Paul Tracy helps that as well.
Yeah, and Jeff Boss's guy, Orlando Ledesma, and the guys on that come, they've done a good job. But there is Darren Manning, superb run here in 4th place with the best of the Reynard chassis. Guys, with his team owner, Derek Walker.
Yes, I am, and what else, Derek here? Derek, an absolutely stunning pit stop for you guys on that last one. Put Darren up from 7th up to 4th.
Yeah, well, we knew we had a good car, and the guys put him up there, and they do great stops, and today was no exception, so great.
How is Darren enjoying driving in these conditions? Of course, he's done a lot of that in Europe.
I'm sorry?
How is Darren enjoying driving in these conditions?
Oh, he's pretty good. He's well adapted to it, and the car's pretty good, so it's drying out real quick, so the old wets are going to go away real fast here. It's going to make it a bit tricky for everybody.
All right, should be an exciting finish. Thank you, Derek.
And thank you, Guy. Darren started in 14th position on the outside of row number 7 today, and he has worked his way up to 4th position. In the meantime, Max Pappas is coming under some very, very heavy fire from Patrick Carpentier. This battle has been building for the last couple of laps now, so we want to lay out and let you watch and listen to it. So Patrick Carpentier has gone backwards. He is still trying to make up some of that ground. He started inside of row number 2 in 3rd position. He now holds down 6th place just behind Max Pappas. Max Pappas now starting to close up on Darren Manning. That could evolve into a very interesting battle as well.
And Darren Manning's crew on the radio to him saying, got to take care of your tyres. They say everybody's in the same boat. We talked about it earlier on as the track is drying out. These wet weather tyres with the rubber tread on these tyres, it gets very, very hot once the track begins to dry. And once it begins to overheat, then the tyres start to blister and throw off the tread, and then you lose all your grip at all. So it's going to be very, very difficult for these guys. They're going to try and keep those tyres, not overwork those tyres. There's a good battle.
And now we follow Jimmy Vasser along with Roberto Moreno and Jeff Boss. Mario Haberfeld is in there as well, and that's a good battle for about 7th through 10th positions.
Yeah, and Roberto Moreno, he's the guy on the move. He got past Jeff Boss last time around. He got past Jimmy Vasser on this lap as well. There goes Moreno. Here is Jimmy Vasser. Right behind him now is Mario Haberfeld, who also has got past Jeff Boss. And Boss now coming under pressure from Ryan Hunter-Reay. Here down to the inside comes Ryan Hunter-Reay. Great job there, guys. Inside, side by side, Ryan Hunter-Reay. Jeff Boss runs wide. Is he going to keep it going? Go on, Jeff, just keep it easy on the throttle. And you get back to it. He did. Well done.
Very well done. That was a close one. A big disappointment for Jeff Boss, but at least he is still out on the racetrack. He tumbles out of the top 10 with that error, but this would be, you know, I guess personally part of the great fun I derive from rain races is seeing guys who don't normally do that well move up in the order. For instance, if you have a 14th place car and you drive it to 13th, you did far better than someone who had a 2nd place car and finished in 2nd place. So it's not just what you have, it's not just the hand you've been dealt, but how you play it and how well you can do with it. So it's a pleasure to see the Dale Coyne cars working their way into a top 10 position. And now Jimmy Vasser trying to hold off a charging Mario Haberfeld.
And the Dale Coyne team go on the radio to Jeff Boss and say, good save. Jeff's his reply wasn't quite printable perhaps, but you see he wasn't disagreeing, let's put it that way. There comes Mario Haberfeld down to the inside, making a move there on Jimmy Vasser. That is for 8th place. So Mario Haberfeld in the Reynard chassis moving past the similar Reynard of Jimmy Vasser, 8th and 9th. That battle, and ahead of them both now is Roberto Moreno.
And that looked like a risky move. He had a nice clean line on him, but he really threw that car very hard into the corner to make that pass on Jimmy Vasser. Vasser will now drop down to 8th position. Actually, he'll drop down to 9th because they've not been scored yet, and Haberfeld is still being shown in 9th when in fact he has 8th.
Correct, and good incisive move there by Mario Haberfeld, who's completely alongside. No room for Jimmy Vasser to turn in there, and Mario Haberfeld takes over that position. Here, though, is that battle we've seen earlier on. It's been going for quite a while. Patrick Carpentier trying to make a move. There is that is Bruno Junqueira pulling away now from Sebastian Bourdais. You can see Bourdais' car fishtailing, going up the hill towards turn 13, and here comes Bruno Junqueira fairly gingerly through the corner. The key now is not to overwork your tires.
26 laps down. We have 8 laps to go. We're working lap number 27. And now let's watch Bruno Junqueira as he comes down to complete this last lap. His former lap 200, or rather 2 minutes and 3.7 seconds. And this one could be just a touch quicker. Sebastian Bourdais is in second place, 4 seconds behind the leader. Alex Tagliani almost 9 seconds behind the leader. And then there is a tight battle between Darren Manning and Max Pappas. That is less than 2 seconds between them. Ryan Hunter-Reay searching all over the place, trying to find any wet patch on the race course that he can possibly find, because as you mentioned, that's what they have to do. They have to keep these tires as damp as possible to keep the temperature down. And really, we'll have ended up running this entire race course, our entire race virtually, on rain tires. How are they going to hold up in these last 5 or 6 laps under drying conditions?
Well, they're going to struggle to hold up under these drying conditions, because you know, as the track dries out, you get a little bit more heat into the tires, and by sliding around there, they're pulling, even in these conditions, they're probably pulling at least 2.5 Gs through that corners. That puts enormous stress on these tires. This corner as well, the kink there, it's very, very fast through there, and as the track is drying out, you lean on those blocks of tread of rubber on these Bridgestone Potenza tires. It's a fairly conservative compound, a fairly hard compound, but still you can very easily overheat these tires.
Alex Tagliani still working on a top 3 position right now. Guy, he says, I don't know, he's looking for a podium here.
Yeah, he certainly is looking for a podium. He almost won here a couple of years ago in his rookie season. So Tags is known to run well here at Road America. Paul, not much you can tell him over the radio right now. The conditions, the track is drying. How are these tires, how do these Bridgestone tires hold up? They're wet.
You know, they are extremely durable, but all the drivers are looking for wet spots. There is a dry line. It was a close call. All we can do now is hope for a little bit of rain.
As he watches Alex go by, he got by all right. And you mentioned they're going offline searching for moisture to try and keep the tires cool.
Well, the idea, rain tires are soft, and they heat up faster on dry pavement, so the drivers are all going off the line looking to cool the tires off. So when they do go back on for a corner, they've got something left to turn with.
All right, well, we'll keep a close eye on Alex. Hopefully he'll get a podium finish here this weekend.
Alex was a rookie in 2000, and he qualified 3rd at 145 miles an hour. He led 16 laps before a broken drive shaft put an early end to his race. The next year, Tagliani qualified 2nd and finished 8th. Last year, Tagliani again qualified 3rd and finished 2nd for his 5th career podium. So he has a tremendous history at this racetrack.
He does indeed. There is Alex Tagliani, the Canadian driver, and he's 30 years of age, newly married over the winter to Bronte Cock from the Queensland in Australia. And he's certainly putting on a very good performance this afternoon for this brand new team. And you know, that 2nd place result here in last year remains one of his three best finishes. 3 times he's finished in 2nd place in Champ Car Racing after this is his 71st start. Still looking though for elusive career victory number 1. He came so close here, as you say, in his rookie season, had a drive shaft failure when he was leading 14 players, and that was a huge disappointment because he had a great run going that afternoon as well.
Bruno Junqueira still the leader of this race. He has led every lap, and he has led handily. He and Sebastian Bourdais now the lineup for Newman Haas. However, these guys have had an all-star lineup in the cockpits of Newman Haas cars for some years. Mario Andretti, Michael Andretti, Nigel Mansell drove for a couple of seasons in 1993 and 94. And if you think back far enough, Paul Tracy in 1995 drove for Newman Haas. Christian Fittipaldi, Cristiano D'Amato, of course, last year drove extremely well. So anybody who sits in these seats seems to have the touch of magic that comes with the Newman Haas team. Very, very good equipment, a well-solidified team over a number of years, and they always put their drivers up front.
got a good glimpse there of lap times there. Fastest lap of the race that time around by Alex Tagliani. He closed up a lot. He closed up by a whole second on Sebastian Bourdais, and there's the battle farther back as well. There's Darren Manning on the left of the screen. Behind him, Max Papis struggling to hold off Patrick Carpentier, but the guy on the move right now is Alex Tagliani. 2 minutes 2.386, the fastest lap of the race so far. In these conditions, even now, an average speed of over 119 miles an hour.
And if he's going to make a move, he has fewer than 20 miles remaining in order to make it. We are quickly winding our way down to the end of this race. 5 laps to go, about 5.5 actually right now, as we're working lap 29 and 30. We continue with the battle between Max Papis and Patrick Carpentier. Patrick has had something of a disappointing day, started in 30, now runs in 6th position, trying to chase down Max Papis, so far with no luck.
No, he lost to 3 positions in his last pit stop, and as closely matched as these cars are, it's very, very difficult to make up that deficit. We've seen several drivers make some passes, but Carpentier there unable to find a way past Max Papis. Max Papis now beginning to put some pressure on Darren Manning. This is the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th coming down into Canada Corner.
And very interesting on Max Papis, the last 2 times around the carousel, he has kept the left side tires off in the dry and kept the right side tires in the wet, and he's put the car into something of a drift going around there. So it's been interesting to watch the different line that he has taken. He runs just a little bit further inside than either of his competitors through that last corner. Darren Manning will dump the car all the way down to the inside. Everybody looking for any moisture that they can find right now. You see that dry strip down the middle of the racetrack. That's where they don't want to be until they have to be there to break down into the corner.
The fastest lap this time, new fastest lap, Sebastian Bourdais responds to the challenge laid down by Alex Tagliani, and down in the 2-minute ones there, 2-minute 1.260, the fastest lap of the race so far by Alex Tagliani in 3rd place. Also in the 201s, Roberto Moreno in 7th. But here's the battle. Darren Manning now. Max Papis right behind him, looking to the inside there. And Darren Manning is going to be on the left-hand side of the racetrack. They'll give him the inside line into turn 5. And he's not making any sort of, I think that's really a blocking maneuver there. He's just trying to look for you can't call anybody for blocking in these conditions because the drivers have got to look after their tyres, so you really got to go wherever they can. But Darren Manning now is this battle. There is Max Papis. He's in 5th place right now. This is going to be a best ever result for PK Racing if he can maintain it. But Max, we all know Max, he wants better than that.
He certainly does, and he's pressing very, very hard. In the meantime, he may have pressed just a little too hard, because now we see Patrick Carpentier closing up behind him. So this is developing into a very, very good battle between these 3 drivers. In the meantime, we see Bruno Junqueira back at the front of the field, still comfortably holding off Sebastian Bourdais, and it probably will not turn into a big problem unless it comes down to a last lap shootout between these guys. Just over 4 laps to go right now, but there's plenty of gap at the moment, a 5-second gap between the leader and Alex Tagliani, plus Sebastian Bourdais between them.
Yeah, indeed, and Bourdais he's the quickest man on track at the moment. He's brought down the deficit a little bit to Bruno Junqueira, but I said earlier on there were no team orders. Well, there might be team orders at the end of this race, because this is a great opportunity for Bruno Junqueira to take the points lead if he can maintain this position here and stay in the lead of this motor race. They'll give him a full quota of 23 points, and that will take him ahead of Paul Tracy and into the championship lead, and no better way of doing it than by winning the motor race. That's exactly what Bruno Junqueira is doing at the moment.
And there is a huge gap between Alex Tagliani, whom you just saw pass through your screen, and these 2 drivers. That is Darren Manning being closely followed by Max Papis, and then just a split second behind them, Patrick Carpentier, trying to chase them down from 6th position.
There's the battle going down through turn 3. There is Darren Manning, the NTN bearings, of course, also on that car, along with RSE, Auto Windscreens and Air China for Derek Walker Racing. And you can see these cars, they're jockeying for position, just trying to keep the tyres cool. Max Papis looking for a way past Darren Manning, but Manning driving quite beautifully so far in this race, and with 31 laps in the books. This is lap 32 when they come across the stripe to complete this lap. It'll be just 2 laps to go.
And we remind you that Paul Tracy is being shown in 15th place out of this race entirely. He crashed very early on into the tire barrier quite heavily, trying to power his way through a sand trap after going really too quickly through this very turn. I believe that's turn 5, is it not? And, or rather turn 8, correction. And Paul Tracy has been sitting watching the race ever since. In fact, he has left the racetrack, and Bruno Junqueira has commanded this weekend. He came into the weekend 20 points off of Paul Tracy's lead in the championship points chase. And in the meantime, he now has an opportunity to cut into that and even take a lead. If he continues to win this race, he could be 3-4 points in the lead.
Yeah, 3 points in the lead he would be. There's the battle for 4th place. Also, Junqueira, he is commanding the proceedings at the front of the field. Meanwhile, this is the best battle in the race right now. You see Darren Manning's car sliding around there. This is another very, very slippery part of the racetrack. Again, underneath the trees there between turns 12 and 13. Coming down to 14, the final corner. Max Papis there in 5th place. Once 4th, Patrick Carpentier once past the both of them.
The leaders have just flashed across the start-finish line, signifying 2 laps remaining in the race. Just a bit over 8 miles for our leaders. Patrick Carpentier now takes 6th place, and Roberto Moreno has now moved up to 7th place. He gets back past Mario Heberfeld.
And for the 3rd lap in a row there, new fastest lap. Here comes Max Papis. He got a good run out of turn 1, down to the inside into turn 3, but Manning hanging along on the outside line. Great racing here. Patrick Carpentier is going to try and take advantage and move alongside Darren Manning. He does so, going through the kink in turn 4. Well, this is going to get exciting. Side by side they were for a moment, but now Manning appears to have the inside line, and that is the preferred line down to this corner. He's not moving around, and interesting call there for the stewards, but Max Papis, he took over the place there. Great move by Max. He's up into 4th. Darren Manning holding on to 5th.
And Max Papis has been waiting and watching and waiting for lap after lap. For the last 8-10 laps since our last pit stop, we have seen him just haunt Darren Manning, hunting him down in 5th position, and he was finally able to make his move. Papis, of course, very, very good in the rain. This team is very confident, kind of doing a rain dance down on pit row. Is Craig Pollock a few minutes ago hoping that we would get some more sprinkles, and so far it's worked magic for them as Max Papis still being scored in 5th, but he'll be in 4th position next time by. He occupies that position right now, and there is the battle that is developed now between Darren Manning and Patrick Carpentier.
Yeah, the 3 leaders are down now under 2 minutes for the first time in this race, and this is the battle though. Darren Manning, his car is clearly sliding around. He doesn't have nearly as much experience as these 2 guys around him, but he's doing a good job here to stay ahead of Patrick Carpentier. Meanwhile, Max Papis, look at that slide again from Darren Manning's car coming up the hill there, and this car is he's doing a great job to hang on to it, because clearly it's very difficult. Meanwhile, the white flag is out. Just 1 lap to go for Bruno Junqueira. Here he comes into turn 1, and Sebastian Bourdais closer than ever.
And you see the lead between himself and Alex Tagliani, who just moved out of the left side of your screen, and now comes Max Papis running in 4th position. He is followed by the last battle between the top 6 players. This would be team players Patrick Carpentier following Darren Manning. That again is a battle for 5th position right now, and all Bruno has to do is keep from making a mistake, and all Sebastian has to do is give him plenty of room, and he appears to be doing that with no problem.
See the gap there between 1st and 2nd, but less than 2 miles, or just a little bit over 2 miles to go now for Bruno Junqueira. There, the looming in his mirrors is Sebastian Bourdais. I'm pretty sure the Newman Haas team will tell Sebastian that's a pretty good job. Just keep it there. Just let Bruno get this win. He's well ahead of you in the points table. Sebastian Bourdais came into this race in 4th place in the points, but a full 40 points behind Sebastian Bourdais. So I think they will be told now to maintain their positions. Don't throw it away in the final mile or so.
And Sebastian Bourdais will come out in a lead of his own after this race, because remember, he with 100 points, exactly 100 points coming into this race, is a 40-point winner of the rookie battle at this point in time over 2nd place Darren Manning. Darren is back in 5th position right now. A nice run for Darren, but not enough to be able to close the gap for the Jim Truman Rookie of the Year award.
That's right, it would be his 3rd top 5 finish for Darren Manning if he can stay there ahead of Patrick Carpentier. Meanwhile, here come the leaders into the final corner.
One more turn to go. It's turn 14. Bruno Junqueira has accomplished it, and he will take the first Grand Prix with Mario Andretti's name on it. He will wait for the double checkered flags and flash across the line for his first win of the year at his very favorite racetrack. That will also give us a new points leader this year. We'll study the points at the 1-2 finish for Newman Hassan. Look at Patrick Carpentier. What on earth happened to Darren Manning coming out of that corner? Carpentier gets past him, and Carpentier will take over 5th position. Darren will drop back to 5th. Did he get loose coming out of turn 14?
Yeah, I guess he did. And Patrick Carpentier, good points for him. He leads one. But Newman House Racing has put on a clinic this weekend. Both of their drivers, there they are. 1 and 2 in qualifying, 1 and 2 in the race. Car numbers 1 and 2 finish exactly in those positions. It couldn't be better for Carl Haas, Paul Newman, and the 2 drivers, Bruno Junqueira and Sebastian Bourdais.
It is the perfect weekend. The fast lap of the race belongs to Sebastian Bourdais. The race win belongs to Bruno. And now we have a new leader in the Champ Car Points title chase, and that is Bruno Junqueira with about, I believe, a 3-point lead. We'll chase that down for you later, but I believe it'll be a 3-point narrow margin lead by Bruno Junqueira over Paul Tracy.
I think Sebastian Bourdais is treating himself and the crowd down in turn 5. They've been super patient this afternoon. I think Bourdais, even though he finished second, I think he was treating the crowd to some donuts there down in turn 5. And meanwhile, Bruno Junqueira is going to come around, and Guy Hobbs is with Carl Haas.
Actually, you can't kind of busy right now grabbing hats and stuff, and now disappeared. Carl, you've got to be absolutely chuffed with that weekend. You must be absolutely thrilled with your weekend.
Wonderful. Great.
Started 1-2, finished 1-2, and
wonderful. It's really good. Our guys were really, you know, quick all weekend long from practice to qualifying, and they rode a great race, both of them, both Bruno and Sebastian.
All right, another resounding success for Newman Haas here at Road America.
Well, absolutely. You know, Bruno just came over the radio moments ago and said, finally, this is what I have been waiting for.
I think that's the 9th win for Newman House Racing, their home racetrack here. Carl Haas has been one of the promoters of this racetrack. Again, Guy Hobbs in the pit lane.
Well, Newman, when you first started your racing career, actually you first raced here at Road America, and it was all because of the movie, and now back at Road America, great results.
Pretty spectacular, pretty chaotic day, and it certainly turned out well.
You're going to be very happy for Bruno, especially with Paul Tracy not scoring any points.
Yep, puts us 3 points in the lead.
Excellent. All right, well, we'll let you celebrate.
And guys.
Very good.
And he still cannot walk anywhere without camera flashes going off all around him.
Really, I tell you what, Paul Newman had a great run himself in the rain a couple of months ago. Yeah, even at the age of 78, he still races. Finished 5th in a Trans Am race at Lime Rock Park, his local racetrack. That guy is a racer, and the movie that the guy was referring to there was a movie, Winning, of course, in which Paul Newman starred. It was about motor racing. He didn't know much about the sport before then, but Paul was absolutely hooked. And even now, as his years might be progressing, but Paul as enthusiastic as ever, and still a great driver as well.
Let's listen in on the celebrations, because we've got our cameraman closing in, and they have to rope that off very, very quickly as well because of all the crowd trying to come in as Bruno gets out of the race car.
Wonderful. Good job, Bruno. Wonderful.
And a big thumbs up from Carl Haas, who comes down to congratulate him. And for the first time all year, we may see a smile on that guy's face, because it's been a tough year for him. Sebastian Bourdais did what he considered just his job today. That is protect the leader's tail, because Bruno Junqueira needed those points desperately to take the lead, and that's exactly what he's done.
There it is, a new race leader, or new championship leader, I should say. We saw Michel Jourdain Jr. lead the points earlier on. Paul Tracy has led it for most of the year, but now it's Bruno Junqueira, the 3rd different leader in this series after 12 races, so 7 to go. Bruno Junqueira is with Guy Hobbs.
Bruno Junqueira, a great drive after a long delay, led right from the get-go.
Yeah, very difficult. All these damp conditions were difficult, but I mean, the team, all the Pacific Air Newman team gave me a great car, and was perfect the day, the weekend, getting the pole and all the 23 points.
And now, of course, you beat your rookie teammate, Sebastian Bourdais, too, for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, you are doing very well together. I think it's the second, third time that we finished 1 and 2, and it's very good for Newman Haas, and I hope we can get more of those.
Now, you won here in 2001 and started a pretty good tradition. Going to continue that tonight?
Yeah, I love this track. 3 races. I won twice on the pole, and won 3rd place. I mean, it's incredible. I think I born to race here.
All right, I think so. Congratulations, Bruno, our new points leader.
Well, Bruno getting pretty disgusted toward the end of the year. Of course, he won this in 2001, and now he will take the 2003 victory as well. He won over Kenny Breck in 2001, and this year he wins over his own teammate. He came out with a 3rd place finish at St. Petersburg, a 3rd at Long Beach, a 2nd at Brands Hatch, 2nd at Laguna Seca. He did everything but win all year.
He did, and now he's put that record straight. He wanted desperately to do that coming into this weekend. He's achieved it. This is the first 1-2 for Newman Haas Racing since Miami last year, and no better time to do it.
Sebastian, although we've had all the water we could possibly get here today, takes on some water. Sebastian, a great run. You challenged a little bit on Bruno, but then kind of had to back off a bit.
No, I mean, I felt that they had a way better car when it was really wet at the very beginning, but then the track started to dry. Maybe we were a bit too high under pressures, I don't know, but after that I didn't feel really easy in the car, and I couldn't take any risk on Bruno anyway. Then it was only if I was really way quicker. That was not really true. We were pretty much equal. Then I'm pretty happy for this Lily crew and this basically this whole team Newman Haas Racing, because 1 and 2 it doesn't happen all the time, and it's just great to feel all the team are very happy like that.
We understand on the 2nd pit stop that you had actually radioed in and asked to switch to slick tires. Is that right?
No, we were wondering if we were not going to switch to slick tires, which would have been really judicious for the end. But it dropped some rain again, and I was not sure anymore. Then I prefer to play security, and I saw everybody with wets in the pit lane. Then I said, okay, let's not play the gamble.
All right, well, congratulations. A great 2nd place finish and a great drive here for the rookie.
Thank you.
Sebastian earned that seat with Newman Haas Racing after he tested for 1 day in December and another day in January, and they shrugged their shoulders and said, hey, he's quick, let's go to him. So
and with Alex Tagliani, who has equaled his best finish ever for Rocket Sports, a 3rd place finish. You had that at Portland, but a great run here today, Tags.
I mean, we came from far, and it was I think it was a good effort from the guys in the pit. They did fantastic pit stop, and I'm pretty pleased with the way things went. I mean, we didn't have a very good start of the weekend, but for the guys working on the car the way they did after the crash and all that, I think it's a good result for our team.
You were catching Sebastian there for a little while, but then kind of dropped off a little bit. Did you think you could get him?
Actually, I was like catching a little bit at a time. It was going to get very difficult, but when the track got dry, I forgot to bring the brake bias a little bit to the rear, and I got too much front, and I flat spotted the left front pretty bad up to the cords, and then it was just like trying to stay out there and finish on the podium.
All right, well, congratulations. The podium here is a moving one, so we'll let you get on it. Alex Tagliani coming home in 3rd.
So Tagliani goes from 13th on the grid all the way up to 4th. Max Pappas not far behind him. A huge gain from 16th in qualifications all the way up to 4th. And pardon me, Tagliani was 3rd and Pappas was 4th.
Yeah, and a great run for both of those two, and certainly a career best finish for the PK Racing team. So finally some good news for Kevin Kalkoven and Craig Pollock. And there is the victory truck there, Bruno Junqueira, Sebastian Bourdais and Alex Tagliani, joined by the winning car owners, Carl Haas and Paul Newman.
Well, let's take a look back at the defining moment of this race. It was fairly early on when Paul Tracy made the move that would change the face of everything.
Yeah, he just got a little bit greedy. He already made up a couple of positions on that first lap of green flag racing. You see the car snap sideways on in there. He got on the brakes, carried too much speed into the corner, and after there it's downhill all the way. It's downhill into the corner, and it's downhill through the gravel trap, and it's downhill into the tyre barrier and out of the race for the former championship leader, Paul Tracy.
So Paul comes into this race with 160 points to his credit as finally they haul his car away. That is a live shot. That's not taped from earlier. They're just now getting around to taking that car out and hauling it back down pit row for team players to put it away. But Paul Tracy came in with 160 points, and now Bruno Junqueira will outlast him this weekend to take a 3-point lead.
He will, and it was just a, might not have been a weather picture-perfect weekend, but a picture-perfect weekend in terms of results for Bruno Junqueira. There he is, the new championship leader. A 3-point advantage now now over Paul Tracy as we go on to the next race in just 7 days' time.
And we remind you that Michel Jourdain Jr. also went out of this race in a kind of a secondary impact of the same accident begun by Paul Tracy. So as a result of that, he drops 39 points off the pace for the title hunt. And this could have been a huge race for him as well to really pack things up at the top. But as it stands, it is now a two-man race. Now we go back down to Guy, who is standing by with Darren Manning.
Yeah, I'm with the Geordie. Darren, you're used to running in the wet and did a very good job here today.
Yeah, it was fantastic, really, especially starting in 14th and having that first lap incident there with Michel and Montiero and Moreno and everything. We had to change the wing to a wing that I didn't really like. So, yeah, it was going great. We made fantastic pit stops. I mean, the guys did a great job. We moved us right up into 4th place, and I was able to run with Tag. And I was saving my tyres there, holding about a second and a half to Papis, and then I lost gear on the last 2 laps. So I was having to double shift up into 4th. And that's how I lost the 2 spots. So nearly got 5th though, but good result from 14th.
And you mentioned the good pit stops. Your second pit stop, you and Max Papis both made up huge positions.
Yeah, absolutely. We're practicing all the time, and from that first pit stop that I did, I knew I couldn't use too much accelerator on the way out, just because you got so much wheel spin. So the guys did a fantastic job, and you know, that was probably one of the fastest in the pit lane there, because I think I did Max, and I did about 4 people there. So I'm going to buy him a beer tonight. So put it that way.
All right, I'll join you. Here he is, in fact. Hey, Max. Darren said he's going to buy you a beer.
Yeah, good job. Good job.
Max, you had a great run, the best finish ever for PK Racing, and we were just discussing the pit stops. Your second pit stop was incredibly quick.
You know, I think the guys did a tremendous job. Everybody at PKR Racing, you know, today they showed that we deserve to run on the front. We had one opportunity and we made it happen. I think it was just great. I had a great battle with Manning. He's a very, you know, good racer. You know, I pushed him a little bit. He went into turn 1, slided out a little bit, and I drove really hard on the next turn. We went side by side for a bit, and after I was gone. You know, I think that was a really great effort for everybody. I'm super pleased for everybody here at PKR.
It was worth the wait, you could say.
I would definitely say that if you say that this is my 5th race, it's not too bad.
All right, congratulations, Max. And Darren's promised he'll buy you a beer later on, so keep an eye on him.
Well, that's the result that Max has been waiting for all year. The smiles have been few and far between with PK Racing, so it's nice to see one on the face of Max Papis.
Certainly is a great result for both of those two, and in each of his pit stops, Darren Manning made up 4 positions, so brilliant work there. A loss of 3rd gear at the end, that's what he would have needed at turn 1 and also at turn 14. That would explain why he lost that position. Coming out of the final corner to Patrick Carpentier. Patrick Carpentier able to get on the power band coming into that corner, just out-accelerate Darren to the finish line, and they've had some gearbox problems already this weekend as Darren Manning for Walker Racing, but still a great result to finish in 6th place for him, and Roberto Moreno in 7th, another top 10 for Mario Haberfeld, and also Jimmy Vasser and Ryan Hunter-Reay the top 10 as well.
And Jeff Boss was actually looking for a very good finish today, running as high as 8th position at one time. Spent most of his time in 9th and 10th. That would have been a great result for Dale Coyne Racing if they could have hung on to it. Nevertheless, Walter Salas is in 11th. Jeff Boss finishes 13th.
Yeah, Walter's first points of the season, so he'll be happy with that. Adrian Fernandez, a horrible day. He had a bad pit stop and never was able to make up for that, and really wasn't on the pace of the leaders at all. And Jeff Boss seemed to lose a little bit of confidence after he ran through the gravel in turn 12. But other than that, as you say, a good run. And Dale Coyne cars finally, they didn't even make the start 1 week ago. Now, one of them at least is in the points, the other one just outside.
And these folks are happy. They waited all day through the rainstorms, through 2 false starts that ended in red flags, so that they could finally come out and see Bruno Junqueira win this race, which he has so richly deserved all weekend long.
Yeah, and you've got a hats off to everybody here. There's been a lot of people, and most of them have stuck around through thick and thin, and rain and shine, and more rain than shine. But certainly, it's been a pretty exciting race, I'd say. And there is Paul New. Good to see Paul up there accepting the plaudits here of the crowd as they go around in this 4-mile lap of honor. It's a long way around this place, but plenty of celebrations there will be tonight.
The drive of the race, Jeremy, who is it? And no fair giving it to Bruno. He commanded.
No, I think, yeah, a bunch of people drove a good race today. Max drove well, so did Tagliani, Bourdais. I mean, all of these guys, frankly, in these conditions, anybody who finishes, my hat's off to them, because that was very, very treacherous conditions out there.
Well, especially after the rains diminished for a little while, we were able to get back out. However, there were still some pretty big rooster tails of water being thrown up all over the race course for probably the first 8 to 10 laps.
Indeed, there were, and I think probably if you ask me for the drive of the race, I'd have to say Sebastian Bourdais. He'd never been here before. He had a brief test here a month or so ago, but his first race here brings that car home in second place, has the fastest lap of the race at a 1:58.2. That's a great effort by Sebastian, and he's moved himself up now into fourth place in the points table and not far behind Michel Jourdain Jr.
Alex Tagliani on the left side of that truck, just out of your screen there in the blue racing suit. He drove extremely well today as well. And this continues a streak for him because he is dying to win a race here. He almost did the very first time he came out.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he's had a bunch of strong finishes, has Alex Tagliani, in his career in the Champ Cars, but still that first win is proving oh so elusive. Poor old Tagliani. This was his, 71st start. He's had 8 podium finishes now and still no wins, but it can't be far away.
Well, congratulations once again to Bruno Junqueira and Sebastian Bourdais and all of Team Newman Haas. They have come through with flying colors all weekend long. Tagliani and Max Pappas, along with Patrick Carpentier, will round out the top 5. We give a big thanks down on pit row to Guy Hobbs and his cameraman, who have worked so hard out in the rain all day long. And we thank you for staying with us, because this was a very difficult day for everyone, but we finally whipped the rain and completed the Mario Andretti Grand